that you had a direct line to heaven. And a direct line to heaven, because whenever we had a problem, one of the first things we do is ask you to pray for us. And we had several times in our life that we needed help, and we couldn't ask you to pray for us because you weren't around. One of those times was when you were on your mission. We were going through all the chicken pox, and with chicken pox came strep, and we had had chicken pox from Thanksgiving, and this was in January, and everybody had chicken pox but Adam, and Adam only had one chicken pox, but it got infected, and he had a red streak going down his leg and up his torso. And I took him to the clinic, and we had to put him in the hospital. How old was he? 2.5? And he was in the hospital in isolation, and he had the chicken pox and a scarlatina and a super infection in his lymph system. They wouldn't even let me in with him. They would only let Howard in with him while they were trying to get tubes and lines and things in him. And we had all the rest of the kids in to have them checked, and all of them had strep, including Wayne had strep, and could not go to school. And here's Adam in the hospital, and people came out of the woodwork. We had Wanda Seeley volunteered to come down and stay with the kids because they were sick and couldn't go anyplace else. And people brought in meals so that I could stay in the hospital, and things just went well. And he came home, and the deal was that on Sundays, Wendell and Sarah usually called us to tell us how things were going. So Sunday night they called, and the first thing she says is, "What's wrong?" We knew something was wrong. And they'd been praying for us all week because they knew something was wrong. And I'm sure it was her prayers that prayed us through. And then there was the time when we had Wayne, and he was very much a part of our family, and his mother decided, or his aunt decided, that he wasn't going to be able to come back. And this was right before their mission, and they had their mission call. School hadn't started, and we found out that Wayne wasn't going to be coming back, and she didn't think that we could handle it. They would be gone on a mission. Wayne wouldn't be here to help with the kids, and Howard was in the bishopric, and how was that going to be? And the short side of the story is that not only did Wayne end up coming back, but he got here a day earlier because he ran away. And we had to get, that was when, was it Jay? The cousin Jay ended up meeting up with him in some place where another bus was coming through, and he got here earlier. And when I went down to tell Sarah that Wayne was coming, she said, she just sighed that sigh of relief like she does so often, and said, "Well, I've been praying, and I told the Lord I couldn't go on this mission unless Wayne could come back." And so not only did he come back, but he came back a day earlier. And I know we had Grams to thank for that. She was always, if you had a problem, you just knew you could just ask Grandma to pray for you, and things would work out.
Those were the days, my friends.
You set a fine example. And we should really tell the story about the home sweet home up there. Jeff, you should get a picture of the home sweet home. It's up above. Grandma was the queen of the DI. And she loved to take the kids, and she'd give them $1 and have them go buy something, and she'd find all these treasures, and she'd bring them home. And one day I went down to her house, and I looked over on top of her file cabinet, and here's this Home Sweet Home on a pillow. And I looked at that, and I thought, why is that so familiar? I went over and looked at it, and I thought, that's because I made that. And why is it on a pillow here? And why is it down at her house? And I had made that, I don't know, years and years before, and we were remodeling our kitchen, and so it had hung in the kitchen forever. So I took it out of the frame, took it to the dry cleaners, and had it dry cleaned, and brought it home, but the remodeling wasn't done yet, so I didn't get it back in the frame. I just put it down on the shelf in the laundry room. And when I went to get it, I couldn't find it. And I'd looked, and I looked, and I looked, and I'd been looking for it for several weeks. And apparently, it had gotten mixed in with the things that I sent to the DI. And so she had gone to the DI shopping for stuff, and she found this nice little thing all dry cleaned and pretty, and when I saw it down at her house, she said, isn't that nice? I got that at the DI, and I looked at that and I thought, somebody needs to take that home and love it. And so she did. She bought the thing that I had made and took it home and made a pillow out of it. And the reason I know it's the one that I made is because I made up the pattern. There is not another one like that in the whole world. And when she found out that it was the one that I made, she was so embarrassed that she'd made it into a pillow. So she took it all to pieces and had it cleaned again and brought it back up to me. So there it hangs.